of the investigation and will be on the scene shortly. They will be the primary source of the investigation as it continues in the days and in the weeks ahead. I can confirm that there was no specifically hazardous cargo on board of the plane that would create an environmental issue for those around the site, but the impact and where it impacted could create those types of situations. So please, if there is a shelter in place, follow it. Other agencies involved that are at the scene or available: the Kentucky National Guard, Kentucky Office of Homeland Security, the Louisville Fire Department, the Lexington Fire Department, the Bardstown Fire Department, the Shepherdsville Fire Department, Louisville Emergency Management, the Fern Creek Fire Department, Pleasure Ridge Park Fire Department, Fairdale Fire Department, Anchorage Middletown Fire Department, Jeffersontown Fire Department, Airport Police Department, Louisville Metro Police, Jefferson County Sheriff's Office, St. Matthews Police Department, Shively Police Department, KSP, Louisville Metro EMS, MSD, Louisville Gas and Electric, Kentucky Emergency Management. Again, we have virtually every single fire, police, and emergency response group that is responding right now to what you're seeing. At this time, we've got some initial numbers, but let me tell you, I expect them to grow. Right now, we believe we have at least 3 fatalities. So I believe that number is going to get larger. We have at least 11 injuries, some of them very significant, that are being treated by local hospitals. Again, I think that number will get larger. There is a victim family reunification center being set up at the Louisville Metro Police Training Academy. That is 2911 Taylor Boulevard. Victim services personnel will be on site and on location for anyone who needs information. The United Way is also offering shelter to anybody that's been impacted. You can call them at 502-376-6617. Updates on the operation of the Louisville International Airport will be shared after we're completed here around 8:15 via press conference with Louisville Emergency Management. Right now, we believe that the main area hit consisted of 2 businesses, though we know there were more businesses impacted. The first is Kentucky Petroleum Recycling. We are seeking more information, but it looks like they were hit pretty directly. The second is Grade A Auto Parts. Grade A has been in contact. They've accounted for all of their employees but 2, but they do not know how many other individuals, customers, or others could have been on site at the time. Because of the nature of these facilities, it may be some time before we can account for everyone or know that no one else was on the grounds. They're going to provide us with descriptions of the 2 missing employees soon. Again, there's no direct information about non-employees who were there at the time. The radius for the shelter in place has been adjusted. It is now anything north of the airport to the Ohio River. That includes, without limitation, South Louisville, Old Louisville, and downtown. LG&E had some equipment that has been damaged, but they're reporting no major outages at the time. They may, for safety purposes, have to have some outages. Please understand that if that's done, that's to protect you and the people working on it. I've been in direct contact with the CEO of Ford Motor Company. I can tell you that the Ford plant there was not hit, though it has lost power or did lose power for a period of time, but with the number of employees working there, that's a blessing. I've also been in touch with the head of security for the convention center, and everyone is sheltering in place that is there. They have stopped people coming in for the upcoming events for people's safety, and I know they'll be sending out additional information. Anybody who has seen the images and the video know how violent this crash is. And there are a lot of families that are going to be waiting and wondering for a period of time. We're going to try to get them that information as fast as we can, but if this is a family you know, please give them your support. Please give them your prayers. Please give them your love and be with them, because the toughest moments, and I can say it from personal experience, are when you're wondering whether that person that you know and you care about has survived something like this. We do not at the moment have the status of the crew. Watching that video, I think we're all very, very worried about them. I'm going to turn it over now to Julie Carr with the mayor's office. Let me say I've talked to the mayor 6 times since this has happened. He was out of town, which was completely scheduled. He is moving heaven and earth to be back, and he will be back. And from somebody who has been out of town when some of these things happened, let me tell you, he is completely and fully on top of it, in communication, and his crew behind me is responding as well as I've seen any group do. And trust me, I've sadly seen a lot of disasters, whether like this or through weather. So I'll turn it over to Julie Carr.
I'm Deputy Mayor Julie Carr. First and foremost, Mayor Greenberg has been in constant contact with those on the ground, emergency operations, Governor Beshear, and our federal partners. And he would like me to express that he and Rachel have the victims of today's crash in their hearts and prayers. He is asking the entire city of Louisville to join them in praying for the victims, their families, and our first responders, who bravely rushed to the scene to save people and are still actively working to put the fire out. Our hearts are with those affected by this tragic incident. The mayor's office is working closely with first responders, federal authorities, and emergency management teams to respond and secure the area. The mayor is traveling and is expected to be back in Louisville before 9 p.m. He will be here to update our city as more information becomes available. I'm now going to ask Jody Myman, Executive Director of Emergency Services, to give more of an update.
All right, we're going to hear from Jody in a second. I also have a statement from Representative Morgan McGarvey, who is in Washington, D.C. He says, tonight our community was rocked by a devastating plane crash at the Louisville airport. Representative McGarvey says, my heart breaks for the pilots, crew, and their families, and he's praying for everyone impacted. He's grateful for the bravery of our first responders as they continue their work throughout the night to respond quickly and heroically to this horrific incident. We still do not have complete details on how this tragedy occurred, but I've spoken with the chair of the National Transportation Safety Board and will continue to stay in contact with state, local, and federal authorities to get answers and do what we can to help all those affected. And I know your emergency management director is going to say the same thing, but the thing I left out is do not go to the crash site. You will put people in danger. You will put yourself in danger. There may be people that still need to be rescued. Do not be the reason that the first responders cannot get to them. There are still dangerous things that are flammable, that are potentially explosive at the site. Chief O'Neill was filling me in on that. All of his people and everybody else there are currently safe, but they are trained. The general public is not. So do not go to the site. Director?
Thank you, Governor. So we provided and are assisting currently with on-scene coordination between all the agencies. And initially, obviously everybody can see how big this site actually is. You're not only dealing with the aircraft itself, but you're dealing with several businesses that were affected. Some of those businesses have some issues and some hazards on them that we have to address as well. So establishing that incident management team and that initial unified command between all the agencies that you see standing behind me, as well as the ones that are on site. The Okolona Fire Department was the initial local fire department that was dispatched, and then the city of Louisville was dispatched very recently after that, after multiple calls started coming into our 911 center. But there's 3 phases of this response. It's life safety, it's incident stabilization, and it's property conservation. And we're still in the life safety step in that process. And what I mean by that is we're still going door to door in the area to make sure that every business, every facility, and there's a couple private residences, everybody's accounted for and everybody has evacuated that immediate area. Our shelter in place, we initially did that at a 5-mile radius because the wind was doing some things and pushing the smoke in different areas. And as hot as the fire was, it was kind of creating its own atmosphere and doing really what it wanted to do. So we're working to narrow that. You heard the governor already say that we've narrowed it a little bit, and we hope in the next couple of hours to narrow that as a little bit more. We started to provide initial air monitoring, very close and immediate on site. We continue that air monitoring now. We've got the 41st CST that's on site that's providing that. And they're also providing us some plume modeling that will give us the opportunity, again, a little bit later in the shortcoming to be able to narrow that as well. Like the governor said, stay away from the area. You know, there's a lot of emergency response agencies there, not only from Jefferson County, but our surrounding counties. I can't thank the response enough. You know, but again, we're still in that life safety phase. Instant stabilization, they're doing that at the same time. Like I said, it's a very large area that's been affected by this, and they have to narrow that down and start to go into that area to make sure that they can identify all the future hazards that can present themselves during this emergency. The area that we've got isolated as far as traffic has been done by Louisville Metro Police and our sheriff's office. Again, so, you know, take a look at those, and please stay out of that. Please stay out of that area so it helps with our life safety and our incident stabilization. We'll continue this as long as we can. They have been able to make some headway on the fire to start to get in there. There were several explosions initially from the site itself, just by some of the hazards that were created by the facilities that it impacted. Like I said, we'll be on site. We'll provide more information as we get it through the night. Thank you.
Thank you. Paul Humphrey, Chief of Police, Louisville Metro Police. I will reiterate what the governor and Director Myman said. Please avoid the area and allow first responders to do the work to rescue, recover, and stabilize that scene. I will also say that in the meantime, before we can have a more formal update, please direct all of your attention to the social media of Louisville Emergency Management for any real-time updates. We will have a Family Reunification Center set up at the Louisville Metro Police Academy at 2911 Taylor Boulevard. There we'll have our victim services unit that will be able to help any families get in contact with anyone they need. Again, please stay away from the area. Allow those first responders to do their job to make sure that that scene is as safe as possible. This will be an ongoing active scene for the next several days. We don't know how long it's going to take to render that scene safe for the investigation to take place. The NTSB will be the lead in the investigation, so as of right now, we will not be able to answer any questions related to the cause of this crash until the NTSB is able to give us more information. And with that, I will turn it over to the Senator.
Good evening, Chief Brian O'Neill, Louisville Fire Department. I want to reiterate, this happened in Okolona, and so I want to make sure we give credit to the fact that the Okolona Fire Department first on the scene, took command of the scene, and so we are there in support to help them and we've got units from the rest of the Jefferson County Fire Departments there, as well as surrounding counties. Obviously, the Airport Fire Department is a huge factor in this as well. We've also received assistance from some of the industry around here that has firefighting foam. That is absolutely necessary. As you heard, this was a UPS plane that was taking off, getting ready to go all the way to Honolulu, Hawaii. So we're talking about over 250,000 gallons of jet fuel that was on that plane. So we're talking about a very, very dangerous situation. The area that's affected on Grade Lane at Melton, and it's about a city block wide. You've got fuel recycling storage and some bulk fuel storage that's right there. You also have the auto parts area. There's a lot of issues that are going on with being able to surround and try to contain this fire. When I left the scene about 40 minutes ago, crews there were doing an amazing job. Again, all credit to the firefighters on the scene. They are doing incredible work, and they are containing this fire. Basically, you have to surround it. Where I was with some of our crews was on the north and west side, and you've got Okolona and other people that were leading the charge on that south side to try to just bring it in and bring it in and bring it in. But as I said, we're dealing with not only the initial fuel spill, but all the additional that was on site there. So it's going to be a little while. I've got to reiterate, I know you're going to be tired of hearing this, but you're going to keep hearing it. Try to be patient. Listen to emergency management for any updates. I know you might be eager to try to call to try to find out what's going on. I promise you, people are busy, people are working, they're doing everything they can to keep you safe. I want to address really quick the rest of the city. We have called in one of our off shifts. We have 3 different platoons of firefighters, so we've got off shift firefighters, the staff to back up. So rest assured, the entire city is still protected and still covered with plenty of fire safety, even though we have so many units that are down there south of the airport. So if there's any need for any other emergencies, you are covered, you are protected. Thank you.
Thank you. I am State Senator Keturah Herron, and I represent the 35th Senate District. And on behalf of the Kentucky Senate General Assembly, I want to acknowledge how jarring it is for the residents of Louisville and the surrounding areas to watch this tragedy hit so close to home, to happen in a place where many of us frequent on a regular basis, that many of us watch our family members and loved ones pass through on a regular basis, and to have to process this information and to know that there's been loss of lives. It's very hurtful. And my thoughts and prayers go out to the families that we know have been impacted, to the surrounding neighborhoods and communities. And I just want to urge our residents, as it's already been said, to be patient, to stay away from the scene, and to come together at this time of this tragedy. And I want to, again, thank the first responders, the ones that are still there on the scene, and we will make sure that we keep you all updated with additional information. And I will turn it over to Representative Lisa Wilner.
State Representative Lisa Wilner, representing House District 35, which goes all around the airport. This is a sad and heavy occasion. I am filled with gratitude and respect for the work of our first responders, for their courage, for their training, for their teamwork, for their bringing so many different units together on such short notice. I'm grateful to our governor for getting here so fast from Frankfurt. I just, my heart is with the families, all the community members who work for UPS, the folks who work at the airport and are there every day and are already under so much strain because of the government shutdown. This is a time for us as a community to come together. Once again, I am so proud to be a Louisvillian. We are a city of compassion. We are a city of love. I just want to ask that we keep one another in our prayers and our thoughts, that we extend kindness at every opportunity, and that we really use this opportunity to look out for our neighbors and to take care of ourselves and one another.
Okay, my name is Betsy Rui, and I represent Metro Council District 21, and the airport is in the heart of my district. And first, I would like to thank all the leadership of the first responders behind us and all the first responders out there in the field. This is what you all train for. I'm sad that we have to actually use all your training, but I'm glad that you have it. And my heart goes out to everybody at UPS, because this is a UPS town. My cousin's a UPS pilot. My aide's tennis partner is a UPS pilot. The intern in my office works overnight at UPS to pay for college. We all know somebody who works at UPS, and they're all texting their friends, their family, trying to make sure everyone is safe. Sadly, some of those texts are probably going to go unanswered. My heart goes out to those families and those friends. And thank you.
I want to acknowledge we also have our FBI Special Agent in charge with us today. Are grateful for her participation. With that, I'll open it up to questions, but a couple of things. I'm not going to speculate about the cause. That's for the NTSB to determine, and do not want to interfere in that in any way. And the other thing I'd say is we'll get more information on the numbers of fatalities. We'll get more information on the number of injuries. Know that information is fluid. I would tell you, after the tornado in Mayfield, I was standing outside of a factory where I was sure 100 people were dead. And we ended up only losing 13, and that's a lot of people. But pray. It works. It helps. Let's pray that the number of Kentuckians or any other folks that we lost stays as low as possible. With that, if you have questions, I'll do my best. I don't believe, yeah.
So we do not know of anybody that are trapped, but the units on scene, as I said, we're trying to surround and contain that. As we move in, we are searching every building, every area. And like Director Myman mentioned, all the buildings that are outside of that immediate hazard zone are being searched as well to make sure that those are clear and safe.
If you see the live images that thankfully emergency management can get, you see these heroic firefighters moving from building to building to building as fast as they can, because if somebody's trapped, they're going to get to them. Yeah.
Yeah, so right now it's from the airport, basically from the airport or right around the outer loop area, north. If you live in Jefferson County and you're in that, I know that's a circle that's on the screen up there behind you guys, but you know, we're thinking anybody north of that, we hope to be able to narrow that down as accurate plume modeling is taking place, and it should be done now. So we may be able to reduce that even more, that footprint even more here just in the next couple of hours. Right now, that's it. The smoke, for the most part, is going up into the atmosphere and going north. We've also been in touch with our partners from Clark County, Indiana, because some of the smoke is going towards them as well. So they're making decisions. So if you live on the other side of the river, please make sure that you're paying attention. If there is any notifications that are going out over there, make sure you're paying attention to those as well.
And there's a lot of numbers we're getting from the fire chief. I think he said 220,000 gallons. It's 220,000 pounds, which is about 38,000 gallons. So he remembered those numbers a lot better than I would without them written down. All right, anybody else? Yeah. We have not received information we can confirm on their status. From the videos that I've seen, I'm very concerned for them. But again, I'm still praying. Because I've seen people make it out of things in these last 6 years that I didn't think were possible. We'll have more information soon, and we'll also want to make sure before we confirm anyone specific is deceased that we've talked to their family, who deserve to hear that information first. Yeah, we'll get that information out. Depending on how much news there is, we may be able to get it out on social media or release directly, but we'll work with our news partners, knowing that this is information that people want and need, and please direct any questions to us. But we don't currently have another one scheduled yet. We'd want to make sure we had enough information that came into So the airport is going to have their press conference here right when we're done, and are going to start addressing that. What I'd say, even with somebody who's supposed to have a flight here soon, is they should only do it when it's safe. And this is a great airport that I've used a lot. I trust their leadership, and I'll look forward to hearing what they have to say. All right, thank you all very much. And again, tough day for Louisville, tough day for Kentucky, tough day for this region. We are strong people. I've seen it time and time again, flooding, tornadoes, shootings. That's the last time I drove here this fast to make sure I got here. We've always banded together. We will again. Let's make sure before anything else, we put the families of those that are lost, the families of those that we're worried about first. They deserve it. Let's make sure we pray for them and we support them with everything we have. Thank you, Kentucky.
There you have it. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear speaking here in Louisville. That news conference coming to you from Louisville Metro Hall. The next news conference about 10 minutes away from the Louisville airport. And Connie, we learned a lot of new information. Again, the governor calling this certainly a catastrophic crash, at least 3 fatalities, 2 people still missing from a couple of businesses in the area. Kentucky Petroleum Recycling and Grade A Auto Parts have not accounted for all their employees. They're now learning how widespread this has become as this fire, the inferno, is still underway. The firefighting effort's still happening. Again, this plane crash happened at about 5:15 tonight.
He put it down.
building is located right there at the Watterson and Taylor.
Right. And we want to go on over to Jose Alonso, who has been out at the airport looking over it at the scene of the plane crash and the fire. Jose, what's been happening out there while we've been listening to this news conference?
Connie, if I'm being honest, I live next to the airport myself, and I've never heard it so quiet out here before. Things are very stagnant. The only vehicles I'm seeing come through here are Ubers and Lyfts. At least that's what I'm seeing in the front of the vehicles, the Uber and Lyft signs. But still, just take a look here at the departure part of Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport. There's not as much of a heavy police presence anymore, but I'm still not seeing people go in and out of those doors. So it still seems like it's a very not active situation here. And taking a look back.
Did we lose Jose there?
We lost
right.
Jose's live remote. Now, he has been at the airport showing us the inferno. He's on a parking garage there overlooking the terminal where the firefighting effort is still underway. As you heard the Metro Police Chief Paul Humphrey say, this is going to be days from now before they are able to get any kind of normalcy back in the area. We do want to go through more of what the governor said in his news conferences. We're waiting the news conference from the airport coming out about 8:15. He said 2 businesses were impacted. Again, they are called Kentucky Petroleum Recycling and Grade A Auto Parts. Again, 2 employees still reported missing. They have not been accounted for from Grade A Auto Parts.
The shelter in place was also expanded. Anything north of the airport to the Ohio River, the governor noted. He said LG&E said let people know that live in the area that you could have some outages, but understand that is necessary so they can get in there and take care of everyone. So, you know, be patient. If you do have outages, that's what's going on.
220,000 pounds of fuel on board. The governor says that breaks down to about 38,000 gallons of fuel. Again, this jet, this UPS cargo jet, lifting off to Honolulu at 5:15 tonight, barely got off of the ground, as we've been seeing the horrific video that was recorded there at the airport of the left side, according to one of our aviation experts, the left side of the plane on fire as it's lifting off. He watched it very closely and said it appears the plane barely gets 175 to 200 feet off the ground before exploding there at the end of the airport. This is Fern Valley Road, Grade Lane, the southern end of the airport. UPS confirming that they had a crew of 3 on board.
And the NTSB, by the way, will be in charge of this investigation. The governor saying no hazardous cargo was on that plane. And he's telling everyone that lives around there that you must shelter in place. He says it's there. Please follow it. Kentucky National Guard is there, Lexington and Louisville Fire, Kentucky Emergency Management. The governor said practically every emergency response crew is here in Louisville battling this.
I've been getting messages from friends here in town. Their family members are medics. They were all called in today, so it gives you an idea of what was going on as we were on the air covering this tragedy, a catastrophic tragedy for the city of Louisville and the airport, and of course the UPS community. I think the council member Betsy Rury said it best. This is a UPS town, has been for decades, in our hearts and prayers.
Dialed down. especially here on the tarmac, not seeing any flights in and out, not Southwest, not American Airlines, no airplanes on this tarmac at all. And photojournalist Aspen Hester is going to show you here on the right that UPS hangar that you always see when you're driving on the water stand. I always see it on my way to work every single day. That hangar completely closed. I'm always used to seeing that hangar open all the time. I can see that American flag in there. I usually see a cargo jet in there as well. But at this moment, it looks like it's closed operations all around here at the Louisville Muhammad Ali Airport. And again, the only vehicles we're really seeing, we're starting to see some more regular vehicles come around, but there are mainly Lyfts and Ubers. So still an eerie feeling out here, still feeling like everything's shut down as they're assessing everything at this moment. Doug, Connie?
So Jose, those are just most likely passengers at the airport that are getting picked up because they're not going anywhere this evening, and those Lyft drivers coming in to pick them up, I guess, and take them out. Does it appear that a lot of folks have made their way out of the airport now?
From what we can see, in regards to the top part where people are dropped off so they can take their flight out, not seeing any action up there. But in regards to the bottom floor where arrivals are at, yes, I did see some people with their luggages looking frustrated out there, but also getting picked up by those rideshare cars as well. So I think that's the situation right now. If they do show up here, they're immediately going to just have to go back home instead. Doug, Connie?
Jose, thank you.
Thank you very much. Again, part of the news conference we just heard, and again, we hopefully we're a couple of minutes away from the latest briefing, from the first briefing from the Louisville airport. They were, the Louisville Metro Emergency Services Director saying they're still in the life safety phase. So that's where we still stand here at 8:15. This crash happening at 5:15. We learned a lot more at the news conference, the enormity of it in the area that it's encompassed, including more businesses. The Louisville Fire Chief is saying that they had called in key help from all across the community, including Lexington firefighters are here in Louisville now helping with this tragedy.
And the emergency management director also saying, you know, at the beginning, multiple calls coming into 911. The fire chief saying Okolona, because it's in Okolona, they were first out there as well as airport fire right on the scene, and he wanted to give credit to them for being the first out there. They are also, emergency management, saying that they're going door to door in the area to make sure that everyone is accounted for and that they are told, make sure they know shelter in place. The governor says there is a shelter in place, follow it. So very important information there.
Okay, the airport news conference is delayed until 9. They are waiting for Louisville Mayor Craig Greenberg to re-arrive back in Louisville. As you heard him in a live interview with us before 6 o'clock, he was out of town on business, is rushing back in, and he'll be back in at 9 o'clock. Connie, Louisville Metro Police just sent this to the newsroom, which I think is critical to pass along. They are asking us to share this message with the community, and we invite you to spread it as best you can. Please do not go to local hospitals seeking loved ones. Hospitals are not equipped to handle family reunification during this type of emergency, and that's why Metro government has created the Family Reunification Area at the LMPD Training Center. That's at the Watterson and Taylor Boulevard. This location has been established to provide a safe and organized environment for connecting families with accurate information. And at the site, they have the American Red Cross, the LMPD Victims Services Unit, assisting with information and guidance. The Red Cross providing support and resources for families, and chaplains are there right now offering emotional and spiritual support during this difficult time. And this approach ensures families receive timely, accurate updates while reducing congestion and confusion at the hospitals. By the way, they've also released a UPS Family Assistance Hotline. I want to pass that number on a couple of times here. It's 1-800-631-0604. Again, the UPS Family Assistance Hotline has now been created, 1-800-631-0604.
All right, and with that, Doug, talking about where the victims' families can go, the governor asking that we all pray for the victims' families, anyone who's waiting to get word about their loved ones, and certainly such a tragic situation. Our hearts go out to anyone who is waiting to hear about their family member, and also to our emergency responders who are out here battling this right now.
No question about it. I think we watched that news conference in Katura Heron here in Louisville. I got very emotional talking about the scene of people at the airport, the people driving by the airport, and the shock and the horror that we're all witnessing here today. Let's continue our coverage with our team of reporters as we are waiting for the next news conference, which now has been moved to 9 o'clock. Isaiah Kim Martinez has been in the area there. And Isaiah, where are you now, and what can you tell us here at the latest?
Well, Doug, we're just west of the airport. You can actually see kind of a good view of where you would normally arrive. So we're talking about the terminal.
I guess like the midship of us.
Yes, so it's not just night team handling it.
Yes, exactly.
Lights in the distance, essentially emergency vehicles that we've seen for quite a while now. We know that operations are pretty much at a standstill when it comes to SDF, when it comes to flights, when it comes to TSA. So everyone's just trying to wait. Remember, there are folks who are actively flying into Louisville and out of Louisville as this was all happening, or at least planned. So right now, of course, everyone's trying to figure out as of tomorrow morning when things will open back up. But first things first, of course, is trying to reunite those families, trying to get those families affected more information, those who are worried about their loved ones. And I do want to kind of paint a picture for you. This might not really show off very well here on my phone, but if you take a look at just what I'm looking at right here. So if I want to just kind of walk you through, so if I zoom out, this is just Apple Maps here, and you see the airport, that's in blue right there. And if you actually just go just south of it and zoom up, that grade A auto parts business is just south of the airport. So you could see presumably the other business is actually just up here, the petroleum recycling facility. It would essentially be in a straight line right by Stooges Bar and Grill. So you can see exactly what the governor was talking about when he called this a violent crash, a catastrophic crash, and one where he expects these injuries and potentially fatalities, both numbers, to go up. And you can see with two businesses taking a direct hit, why that may be the case. Doug, Connie.
Isaiah, thank you so much. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, by the way, posting on X heartbreaking images out of Kentucky tonight. Certainly, the rest of the nation is seeing all this and sending prayers, hopefully, this way as well.
And we are once again joined by a former NTSB investigator, Greg Feith, is joining us again. And Greg, you were with us before we had to go to one of the news conferences, and now you've heard, you may have heard what the governor has said here, that we have at least 3 fatalities. He does believe that number will grow, 11 injuries, some significant, and he believes that number will increase as well.
Yeah, when you have that type of accident, and with the businesses, especially warehouse type businesses where you employ a lot of people, you can expect, especially given that the accident happened during a workday. It's tragic, but I would agree with the governor that those numbers could escalate.
And Greg, the governor saying no hazardous cargo on the plane. Does that surprise you at all with what you saw in the video?
Well, hazardous is a very vanilla term sometimes, because if you're carrying computers with lithium batteries, that's considered hazardous. But they probably looked at the manifest. There's nothing in there that, kind of like a train when you have a spill of, hydrochloric acid or something to that effect. There's not that level of hazardous chemicals on this airplane or hazardous materials. So that's a good thing. I know that they had a shelter in place and they wanted everyone to close their windows and any system that would suck the air in from outside. That's out of an abundance because you still have toxic fumes from post-crash fire.
Greg, give me your thoughts on this NTSB investigation, the scope of it, the size of it, how long you think it's going to take once they are in Louisville, if they aren't already here in Louisville, considering the video we see of the plane actually crashing on takeoff.
Given given the size of the debris field, Doug, that it's going to take a while. Just because the enormity of the debris field, trying to ferret out aircraft parts from other vehicles and things like that. I did a cargo accident years ago where the cargo airplane, it was a large 4-engine transport that crashed in an auto salvage yard with 10,000 cars. So it took us better than a month to find aircraft parts and sift them from or separate them from auto parts. So the on-scene portion could be, very lengthy. And again, a lot of it could be burned, so it'll just be picked up.
Greg, are you still with us? Okay, it appears we may have lost Greg for just a minute. Maybe we can get him back in a few minutes.
He's been very helpful here through this entire tragedy. As we've been watching this was the scene earlier as our crews were heading to the airport. Again, this smoke plume was seen all across the community because of this clear day we had today. We were getting photographs from people all over different parts, miles and miles away from Louisville, seeing it. And then we have the video of the air crash, which we had an aviation expert on earlier point out early on. As he saw that video, a major fire on the left side of the jet. He said it barely got 175 to 200 feet above the ground. So let's pick up with you, Greg. I've been wanting to ask your opinion about the video. We had an aviation legal expert on earlier. As you've seen it, the actual crash happening, the major fire on the left side of the jet barely got 175 to 200 feet above the ground. His estimate, barely becoming airborne. Give me your thoughts there early on as an investigator. What you were looking for when you see that scene.
Well, first of all, from early information I have, there's a lot of parts of that engine on the runway. So whatever took place during the takeoff roll with that left engine happened while the airplane was still on the ground during the latter stages of the takeoff run. Those parts are going to be extremely important to determine the sequence of failure of that left engine. Now, the problem with wing-mounted engines is the fact that when you have a catastrophic failure where you have uncontained parts, the fuel tanks fit in the wings because there's fuel lines that go from the wing tank through the pylon into the engine. Once you have that separation, or you have parts that have breached the fuel tank, now you have a massive fireball because you have fuel that's coming out of the tanks atomizing in the slipstream as the airplane's moving, and you have this large fireball like we see in that video. So it's going to be imperative that the investigators really put together a very good timeline as to what failed, when it failed, and what the crew may or may not have known about the failure, because we've seen this type of accident before where we've had either a catastrophic engine failure or, in this case, where if you have the majority of the engine separating from the aircraft. We had an accident like this with a DC-10 years ago coming out of Chicago, where right after takeoff, the left engine actually separated from the wing. And the airplane, because of the crew's action, they couldn't control the airplane, and it crashed shortly after takeoff coming out of Chicago O'Hare.
Greg, yes, I'm sorry, keep going.
Well, I was just going to say, so it's going to be very critical that that timeline is established, which they're going to use cockpit voice recorder, flight data recorder data, any witnesses, because as we've seen with the witness videos, there's always a camera somewhere. So there's a lot of security video that'll probably be available to the investigators, given that that is UPS's hub. So they're monitoring ramps and runways all the time. So all of that's going to be very critical in putting together a very well-developed scenario as to what failed, when it failed, and then how was it handled after the failure.
If you could, in your experience with other disasters like this, when we see this explosion and then how big the fire has gotten, you've seen the video. How long would you guess, if you would even guess, to how long it would take to put this out?
I think with what the fire departments, the first responders are able to do, we typically use foam when we're fighting aircraft fires because that is the fastest way to put the fire out. Well, not all metro or metropolitan fire departments are equipped with that amount of foam to be able to put this out. So if they're fighting all of these little fires, these structure fires, that in and of itself is a science, putting out these structures, because the aircraft itself, once those wings opened up and the fuel was spewed out and atomized, that was the ignition to all of these other structures. And if you're talking large warehouses where they have combustible materials in it, this fire could burn for a day or two, if not longer.
Yeah, the fire chief even mentioned trying to locate more foam from some of these industrial businesses that are around there.
Yes, and a lot of the, at least with airport hangars, it's required that they have foam systems within the hangar. So if there is a aircraft fire in a hangar, the system will start to dump large amounts of foam to put the fire out. Some of these businesses may or may not have a similar system depending on what they may be storing in their warehouses.
Greg, in all the years you've investigated these crashes, the one thing we're dealing with in Louisville, of course, is this huge smoke plume. Have you seen anything like that before, where entire communities are being impacted miles and miles away from the focal point of the crash?
I've seen where we've had a catastrophic, like this cargo accident I did in California. There was a large smoke plume that drifted over the Sacramento. It didn't last very long because the fire was extinguished very quickly. But when you have a large, expansive wreckage area and debris field, and you have, of course, multiple structures on fire, this smoke plume is going to reside for a while. It's kind of like a wildland fire, where as long as you got something burning, it's just going to feed that smoke plume. Hopefully, the first responders will be able to get a handle on it over the next, probably, I would expect 12 hours, maybe 24 hours for sure. But if they have the support from other mutual aid departments, they could get this hopefully extinguished pretty quickly.
You've done this for quite a while, and you know that UPS's major world port is based here. What is the reputation of the Louisville Airport as far as its safety and its emergency responses?
When you have a facility like Louisville or some of the other hub airports for the major cargo haulers and even passenger carriers, one, the facility is very well manned as far as resources. Two, they understand, because this is a world hub for UPS, they are carrying cargo, which is different than passenger carrying airplanes from the sense that the cargo can be combustible. There's large amounts of it. They have to have at least the physical resources and assets to be able to handle any kind of accident that would happen on the airport property itself or in the immediate surrounding area off the airport. They've always had a good reputation. I know UPS very well, and safety is number one with them, because they are a large cargo operation. And of course, the airport, they have a very good working relationship. They have to have that for events like this, because again, one of the things that everybody is concerned with, especially when you have airports that are surrounded by either housing communities or industrial areas, is the potential for an event like this. Now, are they going to learn lessons from this? Most likely they will do a complete debrief once everything calms down and they can reflect back. They will probably make changes not only at the airport but in the surrounding communities with mutual aid, I would expect. because I've been part of those kinds of discussions where we've debriefed well after the event to see what worked, what didn't work, and how things can be improved.
Greg, thank you very much. I'd like you to join us again after the next briefing. That's coming up at 9 o'clock. We're going to hear from the Louisville Airport Authority, and the mayor of Louisville will have a news conference there. We appreciate your insight. Again, as Greg was talking to us, he broke some news here for you as part of this investigation, saying that he has learned that many parts of that engine are still on the runway. We want to pick up, and we've asked him about the safety of Louisville. You know, we've been here all our lives. We know that Louisville's airport has had an incredible safety record, but our focus team investigator, Travis Breeze, has actually been looking into that, especially its modern day aviation history. Travis?
Yes, ever since we got the official flight number and then could confirm what the type of aircraft was that was involved in this, as well as we knew that the location was the SDF airport. So I started looking at National Transportation Safety Board records for all available either major, serious, or fatal accidents at the Louisville airport. I went back to 1990, and I only found 2 that really stood out since 1990. One was a serious injury accident at SDF in 2010. However, it was with a Piper aircraft, which is very similar to a Cessna. The report said it only had 3 seats total in that aircraft, and it didn't indicate if anyone died in that crash. There was also, in 1990, a DC-9 aircraft landed at SDF, and it began shaking on the runway from a disabled landing gear. And there were 2 minor injuries in that. So the NTSB has very detailed records. I was just looking, you know, on the injuries side of it, you know, serious, major, and I was just, you know, scrolling until I found something that had injuries. And going back to 1990 at SDF, those were the only 2 that I found.
And of course, 1990 would be the beginning, the early stages of our airport expansion to expand for UPS. Did these records go back and specifically look at different airlines like UPS or its safety record?
Well, like I said, I just went by if it was denotated that there was accidents with it. And one of them looks like it was clearly a personal, you know, personal jet or something, or a personal aircraft that was involved in one. The DC-9 in 1990, I didn't get to see if there was an airline associated with that. But I also looked at the history of the MD-11 aircraft, which I don't know if we've shown a picture of it yet. You've probably seen it flying over Louisville. It's got a engine kind of in the tail. That's kind of kind of its call sign. So I also searched the NTSB records, filtered it by the MD-11 aircraft, McDonnell Douglas, which was purchased by Boeing. And there was one incident that I thought was noteworthy. In 2002, an MD-11 took off from Charlotte, North Carolina, and when it got to cruising altitude, the pilot noticed an engine fire. So just, you know, I'm not going to draw any conclusions just based on this brief video we've been showing about how it started, but it could have been that, you know, the engine that was on the wing could have been involved. So in 2002 in Charlotte, there was over 200 people on an MD-11 aircraft that was going from Charlotte to Portland. When they got to cruising altitude, they noticed a engine fire and they had to return to Charlotte, and that was on an MD-11. There was also an incident involving an MD-11 hitting a de-icing vehicle on the runway in Memphis. So that's going back to 2002. Those are the only 2 incidents involving an MD-11 that I found. So it does look somewhat rare for an MD-11 to be involved in a crash. But like Greg said, the fact that I think makes this so different than anything I just looked at here is that if he's saying that there's pieces of the engine on the runway, then that just makes this so different than any type of other thing I could have seen in these records. Because if that's true, then it then goes to, when did they notice this? Was there a discussion about, can we take off? You know, and I'm sure those are the questions.
That's right. And of course, he's a former investigator with the NTSB, which is the lead investigative agency on this. Thank you very much, Travis. And we want to join here live by Congressman Morgan McGarvey, of course, a Louisville native. And Morgan, thank you very much for joining us. In your statement, you sort of referenced that you've been in contact with federal authorities. Is there anything new you can tell us that you've been learning at this hour?
Yeah, thanks so much, Doug. I mean, it's just heartbreaking. I'm in D.C. right now, but I am I'm not just watching the images on your all's coverage on this. I'm getting pictures from people living in Louisville and showing from their backyards or their driveways what's going on. I've talked several times with the NTSB tonight. I think it's important to note a few things. Number one, we don't know what happened. There's going to be a lot of speculation. And look, we've all seen the horrific video. We've seen some of these things on social media and other places. We don't know what happened yet. That's important. The NTSB is sending a full team here. I've talked to them about what that means. When they send a full team, you're talking about experts in everything from the wheels to the wings, to training to pilots. It is everything that is man-manufactured and environment that happens with an airplane as it's getting ready to take off. They're also sending in resources to help, and I mean, our thoughts, our prayers, we go out to everyone impacted by this, but they partner with the Red Cross, they have services available, and they help the families who impacted with everything they can. So they are mobilized, they are on it, they are headed to Louisville, they're getting here quickly, but that doesn't mean we're going to get answers quickly. They're going to do a very thorough investigation.
Morgan, Connie Leonard here. So when you say a full team, from your understanding, does that usually happen when there are fatalities involved, as in this crash?
Yeah, I think when you have a crash that's one like this, of this size, of this scope, it's going to warrant a full team. And so, they've made that call already. They're sending in that full team, and and we're still focusing. We know that already it's a tragedy, but still a lot of efforts right now ongoing with the recovery. I mean, our first responders are doing an absolutely incredible job. We don't know the details yet, other than this is tragic. It's awful, and we've got people working really hard to do the best they can.
Morgan, we hear so much about the ongoing government shutdown affecting different agencies. Do you anticipate that the shutdown would impact this investigation at all, or is it impacting the NTSB? Is it one of those agencies that's been exempt from this?
That's actually a great question, Doug, and certainly it's a question we're going to be asking as this goes on tonight, and talking with the chair, talking with the lead investigator, the board member in charge of this team. They're mobilizing a full team here tonight. And so, that is, they're doing their best. I don't know at this stage what impact it has, but we will be asking all questions in the hours and days ahead.
And can you tell us, when did you hear about what was going on here in your hometown? Tell us how you got the news and where you got that news.
Yeah, I actually got the news from friends and family who looked up in the air and saw smoke and got the text of saying, hey, something's happening in Louisville. And then, of course, not long after that, the reports started coming in, and we were in touch with it. I've talked to the governor, I've talked to the mayor, I've talked to the police chief, the fire chief. We're working with everybody here, whether it's NTSB or even in the administration, trying to mobilize as many resources together. And I mean, as awful as this is awful. And again, I mean, this is one where our prayers have to continue going out to everyone impacted by this. But it's also, this is when you see the best in people too. And you're seeing that from a lot of really great first responders and public servants.
Right.
Morgan, I remember you landing at our airport during the Old National Bank mass shooting. You came directly here to WHAS to talk to the community.
Yeah.
Your message tonight, and also, will you be coming to Louisville to try to oversee or monitor the federal investigation?
Absolutely, and we're trying to get on the first flight there. Right now, as you can imagine, flights into Louisville are a little bit chaotic.
Our airport's shut down.
Yeah, we do expect the airport to open back up, but the flights into Louisville tonight have been canceled, and the flights into Lexington, Cincinnati are really delayed. I don't know that they'll take off tonight either. Yeah, I mean, this is one where, look, it doesn't matter what title or whatever you have. I'm a lifelong Louisvillian. We love our community. We love our neighbors. We have pride in the fact that we're the UPS World Hub. When those first vaccines rolled off, right, and were delivered right here from Louisville, from UPS, that's something that's a source of pride for us. And so this is personal. I mean, my heart breaks for everybody. You know, it's Louisville. We're 1 degree of separation from everybody. And so, you know, the chances are if you're Louisvillian, you're going to know somebody whose life has been changed by this. Or if you don't know them, you're going to know somebody who does. And so this is one where we got to check on our neighbors. We got to hold each other up. We got to lift each other up in prayer. We got to make sure that we're there for each other because this work is ongoing. The recovery efforts are ongoing. But even after that has started to dwindle, you know, this is one that's I think it's going to hurt for a while.
Okay, Congressman Morgan McGarvey joining us live from Washington as he is getting ready to come back to Louisville, like a lot of our top leaders are, to keep an eye on this investigation. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much. And Doug, we were listening to the governor's press conference. Our Ian Hardwick was also listening to everything the governor had to say. And so, Ian, I know you wanted to go back over some of the important things that the governor touched on tonight.
Absolutely, Connie. The most important thing the governor told us was that at least 3 people have died since this plane crash. 11 more people were injured. He said, the governor, Andy Beshear, that number is expected to rise. And he said that was a really troubling thing after Kentucky's dealt with so many tragedies over the last few years. As far as how the hospital is managing this, we were outside there earlier, photojournalist Jessica Farley and I. They went on a yellow alert. That means that they got the emergency room ready over there for a disaster situation, and that's absolutely what we're inside of right now. Again, Governor Andy Beshear saying that there were 3 people, at least 3 people who died in the plane crash, with 11 more injured. There were 3 crew members on that UPS flight. We haven't heard any specific details on how those crew members are doing. So how do we get to the number of 14 people, where there were 2 businesses that were affected by all that jet fuel that caught on fire over there? You've got Kentucky Petroleum and Recycling and Grade A Auto Parts over there. That's what the governor told us in the press conference just within the past hour. That could explain some of why the numbers of injured and dead people are not larger than the number of crew actually on that flight. Here's what the governor had to say about those anxious families of people in that area earlier this evening.
But if this is a family you know, please give them your support. Please give them your prayers. Please give them your love and be with them, because the toughest moments, and I can say it from personal experience, are when you're wondering whether that person that you know and you care about has survived something like this. We do not, at the moment, have the status of the crew. Watching that video, I think we're all very, very worried about them.
The governor went on to say that UPS Flight 2976 did not have any hazardous cargo on board. The reason that the city had that 5-mile radius around the airport is that stay in place and make sure that you have your air conditioning turned off. That was because of those businesses that I talked about that the flames actually reached, Kentucky Petroleum Recycling and Grade A Auto Parts over there. So there were no hazardous materials on board, but it's where that fire actually took hold that put us in that lockdown. Doug, Connie?
Thank you, Ian. And we should say that the shelter in place remains in effect.
Absolutely.
They have not lifted that. If you're just joining us, this is continuing coverage from WHAS 11. Also, we're on WHAS 11 Plus throughout the evening here. Next news conference is expected at 9 o'clock at the airport. Louisville Mayor Craig Greenberg coming back to the community. He was out and turning right back around to get back here.
Absolutely. Now, there were a lot of people at the airport when this happened, as well as on the highway, seeing the smoke as soon as this crash happened. And our Jose Alonso has been out at the airport. He's actually talking with someone who was inside the airport when this happened. Jose, what can you tell us?
Connie, what I could tell you is that she was actually in the airplane on the tarmac before having to go back into the airport to pick up her bag and then have her dad drive all the way from Mount Washington, come back here and pick her up specifically. And I wanted to show you, her name was Brooklyn Montague. She didn't want to go specifically on camera, but she was willing to talk to me about being on that airplane and on that tarmac for about 2 hours before she ended up seeing this. And she shared this video with me, seeing this happen, this plume of smoke pop up at her window. She can actually see those first responders moving back and forth, and that's exactly what she was seeing, the very beginning of that plume of smoke. She also shared this picture with me as well. But we're here at the arrival section of the Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport, where we are seeing others just like her that were on those airplanes come out and catch a ride either with rideshare or with family. But take a listen to what she had to say. Mr. Brooklyn, are you a Louisville resident?
I lived here for about 20 years and I live in Florida now.
Gotcha. Can you kind of tell me, what are you doing here at the airport right now? What's been going on with you?
I was trying to go back home to get back to work down in Orlando, Florida.
This day, did you anticipate anything like what you were seeing right now, getting the updates and everything, ever happening here at the Louisville airport?
No, everything was like going great. I was the next plane to be taking off from the airport whenever the situation started happening. We kind of waited on the runway for a few minutes, and out of my window I saw like a plume of smoke from what we now know of like the UPS plane in front of us taking off.
Like you said, you're on the tarmac on your own plane, ready to go, but then you see this plume of smoke. What's going through your head as you're looking out the window and seeing that?
I think we all were pretty confused in the moment, saying that we didn't know much at the time. We kind of just sat for a minute, and even when the pilots got on, they seemed to not have like a lot of information for us either. Nothing was really known until maybe I'd say 30 minutes like into it, when the news channels started rolling and the pilots kind of got back on as well, telling us what was happening around us.
Of course, this is a tragedy, but I'm used to flying out of here. Easy, no problems and stuff. Do you have any concerns of any future flights out of here?
No, I hope everyone involved is okay, and that Louisville can hopefully turn this around like pretty fast, the airport.
You did tell me already, I'm going to ask again in a different way. Approximately how long did it take for you to, from the tarmac, seeing that plume of smoke, to getting your bag and now waiting for your dad to pick you up?
It's been about, from now, we were supposed to take off around 7:15 or 6:15, excuse me. No, 5:15. I don't know anymore. So about like 2.5 hours total for like everything.
Gotcha. And just in general, how are you feeling?
A little worried, a little scared, but again, I just hope everyone involved is okay. And all my family was reaching out, so it's kind of an anxiety overload, but I'm glad to be getting out of here and going home.
Well, thank you so much for talking with us. I hope things get situated and hopefully you can make it home tomorrow.
Yeah.
I appreciate you taking the time to speak with us. Mr. Brooklyn, are you a Louisville resident?
I lived here for about 20 years and I live in Florida now.
Again, that was Brooklyn Montague, a longtime resident here around the Louisville, Kentucky area, now living in Florida, just trying to catch that flight, a Southwest flight, before that crash happened. Again, I showed you what was going on, what she saw from her airplane window, being on that tarmac for several hours before coming back into the airport to grab her luggage. And we actually did see her get picked up here just a few minutes ago by her father. So she's on her way out. But she did say that 65 was closed in some certain sections. So her dad was struggling to get around too, but ultimately he was able to get down here. And there's others just like her waiting with their bags out, waiting for those ride shares to come out here and help them out. You can actually see this family here on the very left packing it up at this moment. So we're going to stick around here and continue to talk to these individuals to see what experiences they endured while also going through this crazy news that we've been covering all day today. But until then, Doug, Connie, sending it back to you.
Jose, her family must have been super worried about her, especially since her plane was scheduled to take off right at the time
Right there.
that this crash happened.
That your video, her video showing you right in line, in line. And so talk more about her and what those images she's able to show you there. Jose, so many people are impacted this. We're getting ready to be 4 hours into this coverage coming up at 9:15 since the crash. We keep learning more and more stories about how this has expanded throughout the community.
Exactly. I'll just show it to you right here again since we have some time. Play this right here again. This is what Miss Montague was seeing outside of her window, those first responders, and then there it is, that large plume of smoke right there, right in front of her eyes and everything. And she says, it's been frustrating, but at the same time, she was very understanding of this situation. Her mind and her thoughts are with all those families that are impacted, just south here of that airport. And I'm sure everyone has that same mindset here. Again, we're here at the arrival section of SDF, where we're seeing these families get out of their airplane, get their luggage and back into vehicles to go to where they need to go. But it's still an eerie feeling here. I mean, I'm so used, I've flown out of here before. I'm used to seeing this busy and not really hearing the music that's playing right here in the background right now. But now we can clearly hear it. There's not much traffic going on. So this airport is currently shut down at this moment as they're still assessing everything. And I'm sure they'll give us updates, and our team's going to be live there as well. Doug, Connie?
Jose, thank you. And this is, again, still a developing story. Nearly by minute, we're getting updates. This is an improving situation, at least for the air. Connie, Louisville Metro Emergency Management saying that the shelter in place has now been reduced to a 1 mile radius of the airport.
That's good
So
news.
again, this had stretched all the way to the Ohio River and into southern Indiana. They were telling people just a moment ago during that news conference in southern Indiana to be on alert there. But now things are improving as far as the plume of the smoke.
Yeah, and by the way, Fire Chief O'Neill was asked during the presser if he knew of anyone who was trapped. He did not, but he did talk about the search tonight. We want to listen into that if we can.
So we do not know of anybody that are trapped, but the units on scene, as I said, we're trying to surround and contain that. As we move in, we are searching every building, every area. And like Director Myman mentioned, all the buildings that are outside of that immediate hazard zone are being searched as well to make sure that those are clear and safe.
Okay, I want to also bring this out to us. The Jefferson County Public Schools have just emailed WHAS. Schools are closed tomorrow, and this is due to the necessary shelter-in-place ordered by the city following the tragic plane crash. JCPS going on to say that all schools will be closed tomorrow, Wednesday, November 5th. They will operate like a snow day with no online instruction. This closure includes all extracurricular activities and athletics. And JCPS will check the air and water quality at all of our schools near the crash site. That from JCPS.
All right, so
Schools
no
called
school
off tomorrow.
again for JCPS.
The growing scope of this tragedy here in Louisville tonight.
Yeah, you're taking a look where we will hear from the mayor and other officials from the Louisville International Airport, Muhammad Ali. At 9 o'clock, we are expecting to have a press conference. That's going to happen then, and we'll get more detailed information. Mini crews headed over there as that's getting ready to happen in just about 6 minutes, Doug.
And we are going to be taking you through some of the earlier recorded comments here coming up throughout our coverage as we wait for the 9 o'clock news conference. But I do want to go back to as well, Connie, some of the comments from the former NTSB investigator that we had here on live, who has of course covered so many tragedies. He making some news as he was talking to us, saying that he had been told that many parts of that engine were still on the runway, which we've been showing you the video of the crash as it was happening, with the left side of the engine was on fire. And we also had an aviation legal expert tell us that it looked to him, as he studied the video over and over, a major fire on the left side of the jet. It doesn't appear that the jet even got off the ground 175 to 200 feet. So some of the early clues that the investigators are seeing as they watch that video.
Right, and again, just going back to some of the comments that the governor made, if folks are just joining us, he did tell us that there were 3 fatalities, but he does believe that number will be larger. Multiple people are injured. He said 11. He expects that to be more. And 2 people are unaccounted for. That's believed to be the folks at the buildings that were hit. Kentucky Petroleum Recycling was hit, and Grade A Auto Parts. All were accounted for. All employees were accounted for, except for 2 employees, Doug. Also, for families that are trying to get information, there is a family reunification area also where they can get answers if they're waiting on word about their loved ones. That's at 2911 Taylor Boulevard. That's where the families can go. And UPS has also set up a family hotline.
That's right, and the number is on your screen. Take a look at the lower part of your screen, 1-800-631 0604, a unification hotline. More about what is being set up in South Louisville. It is at the LMPD training facility.
Right.
That's at Taylor Boulevard and the Waterson Expressway. At that facility right now, the American Red Cross providing support and resources for families. The LMPD Victim Services Unit, which is assisting with information and guidance there. And they do have chaplains on site in South Louisville offering emotional and spiritual support, which of course is such a difficult time as we move along here. And we just got word that UPS has also stopped all its operations at the airport, which is to be expected.
At Worldport, right. And we talked about the governor's press conference a few minutes ago.
We've got some initial numbers, but let me tell you, I expect them to grow. Right now, we believe we have at least 3 fatalities. So I believe that number is going to get larger. We have at least 11 injuries, some of them very significant, that are being treated by local hospitals. Again, I think that number will get larger.
Governor Andy Beshear there at the news conference at 7:30 tonight. Again, the next news conference coming up live, expected to be attended by Louisville Mayor Craig Greenberg, who was with us on live. He was out of town. He is now back in. I think we should also emphasize, Connie, some of what Morgan McGarvey just told us. We don't know really what happened. We've seen the incredible video, the shocking video that has been on your screens, but we don't really know the details. He has been in touch with federal authorities. Of course, being a congressman, he says the NTSB is sending a full team of experts here to investigate. The police chief, Paul Humphrey, said they expect this whole area to be closed for this investigation for a couple of days. The former NTSB investigator said he has seen crashes this big with this kind of scope where they've been on the scene at least for 30 days or more.
And he asked people, don't speculate.
We've got some initial numbers, but let me tell you, I expect them to grow.
All right, and that is, again, what we heard from the governor just a minute ago. Again, going back to the congressman talking about a full team from the NTSB will be here. A full team is wheels to wings, as he said it, training 2 pilots, sending in resources, and so we can find out what happened. Again, asking people not to speculate. He said this is really difficult for so many folks. This is his hometown, and everyone is affected by this. The governor asking all of us to pray for the families that are still waiting on word.
Yes, and we'll be doing that again, continuing throughout this long evening, as we've just learned that U of L has canceled classes on the U of L campus of being so close to our airport, as you know, and also Jefferson County Public Schools, no school tomorrow. They're also going to be testing the air and the water around any schools impacted near the crash site in South Louisville. Back to the former NTSB investigator we had, not only telling us that many parts of the engine are still on the runway, but he also pointed out to us that the fuel tanks in this aircraft fit actually in the wings, and this is an MD-11 where there are two engines on the wings, and then the other one is on the tail at the top of the aircraft or there in the back. He said the timeline is going to be imperative for investigators. That's what they're going to be looking for. What failed, when it failed. This is the video we're talking about. This is the video our experts have viewed, and what they're telling us is that the left side of the engine is on fire. This is the UPS jet trying to take off for Honolulu at about 5:15 today, and then it barely gets off the ground and explodes there at the end of the runway. This is the southern part of the airport at Fern Valley Road and Grade Lane. And the former NTSB investigator told us he would want to know, did a major part of the engine separate at any time, and when exactly did that happen?
He also said that We will find out what the crew knew when we find out information from the cockpit flight recorder, the data recorder, also security video from around the airport, the other businesses that are around there. And of course, the airport has multiple cameras. So that will help in this investigation for the NTSB as well.
Yeah, the plane was fully loaded with grade A jet fuel, 220,000 pounds of fuel. As the governor said, that breaks out to 38,000 gallons of fuel. And that is what you have been seeing burning in the southern end of the airport there, as many times, as our former NTSB investigator said, they will use foam on these types of fires.
And the shelter in place, again, we learned that new is that it's gone down to about a mile radius from this accident, the crash. And the fire officials and emergency management did tell us that they are going door to door in the area to make sure everyone is accounted for and continue sheltering in place tonight. Also, LG&E, says that some folks might lose power. Just be patient. They're doing what they can, but they've got to get in there and do what they need to do. So there might be a loss of power.
UPS once again putting out a hotline for families, 1-800-631-0604. As we've heard it so many times, and you know this is a UPS town, a big community. You know people who work for UPS. You see them every day. You see their employees everywhere around our community. They've been a presence, a major presence here ever since airport expansion, and we expanded the runways for this company to land their big world port here. That was in the 90s, and they have since grown along with Louisville and have hired so many people. This stretches not only from the many pilots you see around the community, but to those who are on the streets delivering your packages. And so our hearts and prayers are out with them as this community certainly will come together in this time of need and great tragedy at our airport. It is a catastrophic tragedy, as the governor described it tonight.
Again, Louisville's mayor out of town when this happened, he is making his way back. We will have a press conference in just a few minutes, but UPS just sent a statement over.
Here's some of what they're saying. We are terribly saddened by the accident tonight in Louisville. Again, this is from UPS. Our heartfelt thoughts are with everyone involved. UPS is committed to the safety of our employees, our customers, and the communities we serve. This is particularly true in Louisville, home to our airline and thousands of UPSers. From Jim Mayer, who is based here in Louisville, the corporate communications there, going on to say, we are engaged with the National Transportation Safety Board's investigation of the accident and are staying in close contact with the Federal Aviation Administration. We will work tirelessly with state and local authorities on response efforts. Okay.
All right. And just a minute ago, we were talking to Jose Alonso. There were a lot of folks at the airport today when this happened, waiting to go out or coming in from flights. Our Jose Alonso spoke with somebody who was there waiting on the tarmac, to go. She was supposed to depart right at 5:14 when this crash happened, actually saw the aftermath. Such a scary situation for folks that were at the airport today.
Not to mention the other flights trying to come in at about the same time, and then you have so many people on I-65. I mean, happening at about 5:15, major rush hour. And then we've been dealing with the large smoke plume, which even the former NTSB investigator just a few minutes ago, they knocked down the radius of that to 1 mile from the airport. At one point, it was 5 miles, and then it stretched all the way up to the Ohio River, including parts of southern Indiana.
And that passenger was saying also that they were trying to get updates from the pilots, but the pilots had no clue what was going on right away, and they were trying to get information so they could pass it along to people that were sitting in planes ready to leave.
So once again, we are moments away from another live news conference for you, as we have been on the air with you here since we went on the air with our newscast at 5 o'clock and then started seeing the reports on social media, people sending photographs, the plume of smoke immediate, and then spread We had people in far Oldham County saying they were seeing it there many miles away from Louisville.
Well, you're looking at the black smoke as emergency responders were coming in. Such a scary scene for anybody who's watching this happen. All right, let's go back over to listen to the passenger who was on the plane when this crash happened on another plane.
Everything was like going great. I was the next plane to be taking off from the airport whenever the situation started happening. We kind of waited on the runway for a few minutes, and out of my window I saw like a plume of smoke from what we now know of like the UPS plane in front of us taking off.
Or Jose Alonso at the airport interviewing her. She was actually sitting on the tarmac waiting to go, and now everybody has left. Our airport is closed until further notice. And as we even talked to Congressman Morgan McGarvey, he's trying to get back into Louisville. Can't, as he pointed out. Things are also very busy now at Cincinnati and Lexington just because of the Louisville airport, which is a major airport, now closed for an indefinite period of time.
Also, something the fire chief mentioned, he wanted everybody to know, all shift firefighters have been called in to protect the rest of the city. So if anyone is worried about a fire event elsewhere in the city, he said they have called everyone in, and so folks should not worry about that.
Connie.
The city is covered.
This just in from David MacArthur at U of L Hospital. Of course, U of L Hospital in downtown Louisville, our main trauma hospital. U of L Health has received 10 patients related to the crash at the airport. 2 are at U of L Health, U of L Hospital in the Burn Center in critical condition. 2 additional were treated with non-life-threatening injuries. 3 patients with non-life-threatening injuries treated at U of L Health's Mary and Elizabeth Hospital. 2 patients with non-life-threatening injuries treated at U of L Health South Hospital, and 1 patient with non-life-threatening injuries treated at U of L Health Jewish Hospital. No additional information is expected to be released from this evening, according to U of L Health here tonight. Again, I think here we have 2 are at U of L Health in the Burn Center in critical condition.
U of L Health is a level 1 trauma center. Very qualified folks over there for extreme cases like this, know what to do in this kind of emergency situation.
And they immediately went on alert and were waiting for patients to come.
Right.
I had people here in town who have people in the healthcare profession saying that their family members were called in. It didn't matter what hospital it was.
Jose Alonso is out at Louisville International Airport as we are getting ready for this press conference to start. Jose, what can you tell us?
Connie, yeah, we're currently inside the airport now, right next to baggage claim, and I just kind of want to show you what we're seeing. Again, it's a very, very empty building right now. I've never seen it like this in my entire time that I've flown out of SDF, but a very empty building. There's just a few individuals still here. It looks like they're either waiting for their ride or possibly for something else. But again, this is currently what we're seeing, just a very empty airport here. And we did speak with several individuals, like mentioned earlier, and we showed you earlier, Ms. Montague talking about how they were actually on planes. The lady I spoke with, several people actually were on a Southwest plane right behind that UPS cargo, so cargo jet. So they were telling me they were on the plane for quite a while before having to get down and then actually having to learn they had to get their bag and figure out their way either back to a hotel or back to their home or wherever they were staying as well. But take a listen back to that interview.
I think we all were pretty confused in the moment, saying that we didn't know much at the time. We kind of just sat for a minute, and even when the pilots got on, they seemed to not have like a lot of information for us either. Nothing was really known until maybe I would say 30 minutes like into it, when the news channels started rolling and the pilots kind of got back on as well, telling us what was happening around us.
And again, that was Ms. Montague that I was speaking with. She didn't want to be fully on camera, but was willing to share her story about having to go through this and everything. Again, she was on a Southwest plane before that UPS cargo jet ended up crashing, and she did share some images of seeing that smoke and that plume of smoke rise into the air at the very beginning stages. But again, bringing it back here to baggage claim, again, a very, very empty scene that we're seeing here. Possibly going to speak to more of these individuals here about what their journey has been like so far. But on the top of everyone's mind is they're just thinking about those individuals that were in that airplane or that have been impacted by this as well. But again, looking very calm here. Still haven't seen any planes on the tarmac, any jets in and out, any flights in or out, or anything like that. So it seems like it's going to stay like that here at SDF for quite a while. Doug,
Jose,
Connie?
have most of the employees then been sent home for the night?
As far as employees, I do see a few. I can actually have our photojournalist Aspen Hester zoom in a bit. There's still one lady there at the guest information desk. I did see a few other individuals as well, but not high in regards to staffing. So there's one lady there. There's another lady you can see walking right there as well. I've seen several people walk up to her and just ask her a few questions about, you know, what they need to find out, whether it's their bag or, you know, if they need help or anything. But I did learn that when it comes to those Southwest plane riders, that they actually got a voucher, and if needed to a place to stay, a voucher for a place to stay at a local hotel here, or just figuring out what their next flight's going to be, possibly tomorrow. Again, they don't know 100% if that'll be tomorrow, but from what Southwest has told them, it could possibly be tomorrow. So there's a lot of individuals here that are either from here or not from here and kind of stuck here in Louisville. But again, on the top of their minds is everyone involved in this situation. Reporting live at the Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport, Jose Alonso with photojournalist Aspen Hester, WHAS 11, night team on your side. Doug, Connie.
Jose, thank you very much. Let's go live now to the airport, the second news conference of the evening, happening now.
For our friends and partners at UPS, and really all the first responders that are out there right now, and everybody else that is going to be impacted by this tragedy. So, I think I really appreciate the mutual aid response. We just practiced this probably less than a month ago. All the life-saving, the response that our partners at Mutual Aid provide is unbelievable. We actually have a ARF truck that came in from Lexington Bluegrass Airport, so we could get the airport open as well. So thanks to them as well. So this will go much better with the fact that we have great partners that are willing to respond to this. With that, I'm going to open it up to turn it over to Officer Bevan to give some details.
Good evening. I'm Officer Jonathan Biven, the Public Information Officer here with the Louisville Airport. At 5:15, Louisville Airport Dispatch, an Alert 3 call regarding UPS flight number 2976, an MD-11 cargo plane that took off en route to Honolulu, Hawaii. Flight 2976 had a total number of 3 souls on board. Flight 2976 departed runway 17 right and went down 3 miles south of the airfield. I can confirm a total number of 4 fatalities and 11 injured that were transported to local hospitals at this time. These numbers can increase as the investigation continues with partnerships of local, state, and federal investigators. Here at the airport at this time, runway 1129 is open, and all departing flights have been canceled for tonight. We're asking anyone who is traveling out of SDF Airport tonight and tomorrow, they should contact their airline for flight status. We are also asking the public, if they were to find any debris in the area, to please avoid touching this debris and report the debris. As well, they can take photographs to the following website, which is louisvilleky.gov/emergency services. We are asking everyone to please follow the airport's X page at Fly Louisville for additional updates. We will not be providing any questions at this time as this investigation continues. I'm going to turn it over here.
Thank you, Jody Myman from the City of Louisville Emergency Management. Just a quick update from the one that we did earlier. We have reduced, due to a substantial amount of air monitoring in the area, we have reduced the footprint of the shelter in place to 1 mile. So that's good news, for the people that live outside of that, but we encourage people to still stay alert, to still monitor social media, and to sign up for our Lens Alert, our Louisville Emergency Notification System. We used initially with this, the Integrated Public Alert and Warning System, which we use, for dire emergencies such as what the city faced tonight. But as the night goes on, we will not use that outside of that 1 mile area. So we encourage people to sign up for Lens Alert. If it expands, we will issue that again. We will expand it as needed. And we're going to continue to send people downrange, even outside of that 1 mile, to make sure that they're not getting any kind of adverse readings. You may get an odor. There is an odor in the air, but right now, again, with particulate monitoring as well as air monitoring, they're not getting any adverse readings. So please make sure you sign up for our Lens Alert. Also, one of the things we did, again, set up a family assistance center, 2911 Taylor Boulevard at Louisville Metro Police Training Center. And you can call the family assistance hotline if you have any questions or need any assistance. That number is 800-631-0604. That's 800-631-0604. Thank you.
We will have another press conference at 10:30. The mayor will be here for that one. I'm not sure we'll have a lot more information, but if we do have some updates, we'll provide it at that time. Again, 10:30, the mayor will be here. I also want to say thank you guys for getting the word out. It's really important that we get as much information out as we can about if you find debris, don't touch it, report it, and where the family area is. So thank you. We'll see you again at 10:30.
Did you take any questions?
No.
Is the pressure at 10 or 10:30? Because we're hearing from there.
From the Louisville Airport, that live news conference there. Is he taking questions? Do we want to go back to that?
Yeah. Let's go back to it if we can. He's not taking questions.
Okay, that's the head of the Louisville Airport, or the regional authority.
Dan Mann.
Dan Mann. But we did get new information there from Jonathan Biven there of the airport police authority there. Now, Governor Andy Beshear said he did expect the number of dead to increase. It's now up to 4 fatalities and 11 injuries.
Right.
And all departing flights are canceled tonight. He's urging people to contact airline flight status. He said one of the runways is open, but again, the airport is closed as they continue to put that fire out.
Right. And he also asked that if you find debris from the crash, please don't touch it. He said take photos of it, report it, and you can do that and then send it to louky.gov/emergency services. But definitely don't touch it, but you need to report it. And you can also take photos of it.
So let's talk about the air monitoring. Jody Myman of Louisville Metro Emergency Services brought it up again. The shelter in place now down to 1 mile all around the airport in South Louisville. He said there is an odor in the air, but the air monitoring is not discovering any adverse readings at this moment. We're going to have another news conference from the mayor coming up at 10:30. But Connie, I do want to talk about our friends in southern Indiana for a bit here. The city of Jeffersonville issued a shelter in place from the Ohio River north to 10th Street and east along the Ohio River to the Port of Indiana, large area in Jeffersonville. But the good news there, Clark County Emergency Management has air quality monitoring sensors deployed at several locations throughout the city of Jeffersonville, Indiana. And they report that currently there are no hazardous conditions being identified by those monitoring stations that are in place throughout the city. This is a precautionary measure only to ensure the health and safety of the residents. So that was about a couple of hours tonight, and now you have the good news from Jody Myman of Louisville that they have knocked the shelter in place down to about 1 mile.
And that's good news also because earlier this evening, when Jose Alonso, who has been out at the airport, he was talking about actually he and his photographer, they saw some ash actually coming out of the air, which you would think would be a little concerning as far as air quality is concerned. But it's good that apparently that's not going to be an issue, according to Jody Myman.
We also got a communication from our folks at ABC News, have been in touch with the NTSB, and those investigators are going to arrive here into Louisville tomorrow in full force. Again, they will start their investigation then, and they are planning to have news updates tomorrow here.
And again, I do want to mention that the new news coming out of that press conference was that there are 4 fatalities confirmed now, still 11 injured at this time. But again, in the governor's press conference, because of information he has gotten about those folks involved, he said he would anticipate more. He actually indicated fatalities, which may be the 4th one that we just heard about, and then more injuries. He would not be surprised if that number is higher.
And this has reached the attention of the federal government, and it did right away. The U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy putting out a note on social media saying heartbreaking images coming out of Kentucky tonight. Please join me in prayer for the Louisville community and the flight crew impacted by this horrific crash.
And with that, again, we want to mention that at the Police Training Center, 2911 Taylor Boulevard, that's where families can go to get word or get help, get information. Certainly can't even imagine what that might be like tonight.
And we want to pass along more of what Congressman Morgan McGarvey sent to us. Of course, he like many of our politicians, use our airport quite often, saying tonight our community was rocked by a devastating plane crash at the Louisville airport. My heart breaks for the pilots, crew, and their families, and I'm praying for everyone impacted. I'm grateful for the bravery of our first responders as they continue their work throughout the night. Tonight to respond quickly and heroically to this horrific incident. And Morgan telling us in an interview here that he, of course, has been involved and has been talking to the NTSB throughout this evening, this tragic evening, and he has been assured that they will send a full team and that this investigation would not be impacted by the ongoing government shutdown, which is impacting many other agencies.
And he was saying he's trying to get back here as well, but no flights coming into Louisville tonight, but even Lexington, he said it was very difficult to try to get into the Lexington airport even tonight because of how busy they are, I guess, because of what's happening down here.
So if you're just joining us here, we've been on the air with you since our evening newscast. We have not taken a break as this developed during our 5 o'clock news. And our plan is to bring you that live news conference coming up from the mayor. It'll be the first one we've heard from the mayor. He was out of town. He's now getting back to Louisville tonight. And he'll be able to certainly address the community outreach and what's next as we go into the next days. It's going to be a lengthy investigation, as the police chief even said. You're going to have investigators on the scene for days. It could be several weeks. Already we know the U of L has canceled classes tomorrow. JCPS, no school tomorrow. Just some of the widening impacts of people who are impacted in the wake of this fatal crash at the Louisville airport. Our map, we've been showing you this since the plume of smoke appeared. Right about Fern Valley Road and Grade Lane, the UPS headquarters, the Worldport main buildings are right down there where we have labeled the word plane crash.
The fire chief, again, saying that he didn't know of anyone trapped. He talked about all the agencies involved, as well as Kentucky National Guard. Lexington Fire is down here helping our Louisville firefighters. KSP, Kentucky Emergency Management. The governor said practically every emergency response crew is here that can be here. And that's good to know. Fire chief also said that there is fire service for the rest of the city. They have called all staff in to make sure that shift firefighters have been called in to protect the rest of the city. Wanted people to know.
There's the update. Again, this coming from the news conference at the airport moments ago from Jonathan Biven with the police department there, the airport authority. Now 4 dead, 2 in critical condition. We learned that earlier. Also, multiple people hurt. Shelter in place now, 1 mile radius. The family reunification area is at the LMPD Training Center. They have chaplains available and others from the American Red Cross. That's at Taylor Boulevard and the Waterston Expressway.
When this all happened, the governor put a time right at 5:14. Also, we've heard 5:15, but he said 5:14. What happened then? Multiple calls coming into 911, he said. Also, the area where that crash went down, Great Lane at Melton, 2 businesses there, because that's auto parts, industrial area that we're talking about there. And those 2 businesses, the buildings hit Kentucky Petroleum Recycling was hit, Grade A Auto Parts, and they accounted at Grade A Auto Parts for all but 2 employees at that time, but they were going door to door to businesses, homes in the area to make sure people were accounted for.
And those in businesses right down there in the area of Fern Valley Road and Great Lane, and they pointed out that at Grade A Auto Parts, they have 2 missing employees that they have not accounted for. The governor was hoping to learn something soon. We have not heard word on that.
Right.
We certainly will pass that along once we do.
Right, and hopefully those folks are accounted for again. And I don't think it is a bad thing to mention this again, that the governor asked that we all pray for the victims' families, those folks who are waiting for word on their loved ones. And this is not only the crash, but people that may have been in those buildings. There may have been customers at some of those buildings. We don't know. And officials are still trying to find that information out, they said. So again, thinking of those folks, and they're in our thoughts and prayers for sure.
We have 2 representatives from Honolulu issuing a statement here tonight. We extend our deepest condolences and sincere aloha to the families and loved ones of those who lost their lives and to those who were injured in the tragic crash of UPS Flight 2976. It is our understanding that the plane was heading to Honolulu. As the chair and vice chair of the House Committee on Transportation, we remain committed to working closely with the Federal Aviation Administration and our state partners to ensure the continued safety of air transportation and uphold the highest standards of airline regulations. So more people weighing into this as the news is certainly spreading all across the world.
That McDonnell Douglas MD-11 flight, cargo plane, headed to Honolulu International. It was going to be a 9-hour flight. That's why there was so much fuel on board that plane. And you know, we don't know why it was headed that way. Our Reed Yaden, who's a pilot, also thought that might be business related, but we don't know for sure. But that was just some thinking for the UPS cargo flight.
So as we continue to get information in about the shelter in place, let's go to our chief meteorologist, Mallory Schnell, who has been tracking the wind conditions. And Mallory, when this first began, the plume was going a different direction and then it shifted. Where do we stand here tonight?
Right. Yeah. So we were having some of that plume drift a little bit more to the east. And in fact, I'll bring that up on radar here. I have the radar out to when the crash occurred during the 5 o'clock hour. And when you have a strong enough smoke plume, you can really see that being picked up on radar. So that's what you're seeing there in the greens, in the yellows, in the oranges during that 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock hour. It continued to get lifted up and streamed off to the north and northeast, which is why we were seeing that shelter in place extend through the Ohio River, eventually over into southern Indiana, off to the east as well. Some folks seeing it being reported in areas like Oldham County. The good news is it's no longer being shown on radar. I've been keeping an eye on air quality. You can get that really information from a website called Air Now, and it shows air quality from several different reporting sites across the Louisville Metro, including Jefferson County and into southern Indiana. The thing is, a lot of this is at the surface, and thankfully a lot of that smoke was being pulled northward, or upward, I should say, into the atmosphere more so rather than hanging down by the surface. But really the worst that I've seen is an air quality index of 59 in southern Indiana. So pretty much right where that smoke plume was headed, and we were dealing with moderate air quality. So that is in the yellow here. Of course, that's something that we'll have to continue to monitor, but that shelter in place continuing to be kind of squeezed a little tighter and tighter, more so in that 1 mile radius. In terms of what we're seeing right now with weather conditions, obviously it's been a pretty quiet day across Kentuckiana for weather. We just had some high clouds that streamed in throughout the course of the day, a little bit of breeziness, but not nearly as gusty as yesterday or what tomorrow will bring. We're taking that live look outside. Obviously it's dark, so we cannot see any kind of smoke plume, but I do want to draw attention to the Big 4 Bridge, which according to the mayor is lit up in yellow tonight for that UPS flight. Winds are coming in from the southeast around 5 miles per hour. So very light wind speeds, which is good news for the crews that are trying to fight the fire, fight the smoke plumes there at the airport. You can see wind speeds pretty much all across Kentucky, and as it stands right now, 5 miles per hour in Louisville, less than that in other spots. So lighter winds, but that will change as we carry on into tonight and tomorrow. We're going to have these winds continuing to come in from the south. So that direction of the wind, that's where it's coming from, blowing from south to north or eventually southwest to northeast tomorrow. But you can tell those wind speeds picking up throughout the overnight hours. So we'll have wind gusts up to around 20 miles per hour at 4 a.m. That will continue throughout the day on Wednesday. We could have some gusts tomorrow from the south and southwest. 30, maybe even up to 35 miles per hour. But in terms of air quality, once again, some good news on that front. A lot of good air quality in Louisville. So the air at the surface, at least, looking pretty good. But we do have that moderate air quality report in southern Indiana. Doug and Connie.
Mallory, thank you very much. And Jose Alonso's been at the airport since the beginning of this. We want to go back to him live. Jose, you've heard that the airport is now closed, incoming flights. They do have one runway open, but it's not being used tonight.
Doug, yeah, so we moved inside. We haven't seen any activity. We haven't been out there for a minute yet, but we're not the only ones that have been here for hours. We were actually speaking with individuals who were on the tarmac and saw that large plume of smoke from the very beginning, and then had to get off of their airplane, pick up their bag at baggage claim, and now waiting for car rides to wherever they need to go. But I want to show you this here. We're looking at the board, specifically this departure board. You can see several flights have been canceled, and several of them have been rescheduled for tomorrow morning. This one for Charlotte at American Airlines as early as 7 a.m. And we did speak to some other individuals who did say they had their flight rescheduled and that it was around 7 a.m. So I asked them if they were hopeful that they would be able to fly out tomorrow. They said they are hopeful, but they're also very understanding if that doesn't happen. But take a look over here. I'm going to have photojournalist Aspen Hester show you just how empty it is here at baggage claim in itself. There's no bags around here. There's still some individuals here for different reasons. That lovely lady right there, I got to talk to her as well. And she says she's waiting on her bag, which is unfortunately sitting outside. And because of the shelter in place situation, they can't grab it for her yet. And she's a Louisvillian herself, so she's just really waiting for that bag in order for her to get to her car and then head home. But again, it's still just very quiet in here, the quietest I've ever seen, as I've been to SDF several times to fly to see my own family as well. So I can understand where they're coming from. But again, at the top of everyone's mind and in their hearts is those individuals that were impacted by this crash. Doug, Connie? Again, tell me about, what are y'all doing here? What's happening?
Well, I think it's by faith that we two sat together on the plane.
On the Southwest flight.
Yeah, to here. We were just going to touch down and leave, and then all of a sudden they said we had to exit the plane, but we could keep our stuff on the plane, but just take what we wanted. And we got off. We started walking off the plane. We put something to save our seats, and as soon as we exited, I just heard some lady off to the side saying that there was an explosion, and then everybody was looking off to the left, and it was just a cloud of black smoke.
It looked like kind of a tornado because
Yes.
the sun was behind it, so it was
Yeah.
light. It wasn't as dark as it ended up being later on. It looked like dirt.
Yeah,
And
but it
then-
just kept on going, and then it just took over the whole sky. I mean, because you were just looking, and when you look up, it was just like, all of a sudden, it was just black everywhere.
We saw it all the way from downtown. It was crazy looking and everything, When you got off the plane and started getting those news alerts or started being informed that it was a UPS cargo jet that ended up exploding down
We
there.
did not find that out until we were at the bar for a while. So when we were off the plane, they instructed us, hey, leave your stuff on the plane because we were just picking up a couple of passengers to go to Phoenix. They were like, hey, take your time because the flight's delayed leaving. Go use the restroom, grab a bite to eat. So we're sitting there, and then we got an alert on our phone saying to take shelter. And a couple of people, when we landed, said some of the debris had hit the window outside of our gate. I didn't see that. I also
also was oblivious to all of this.
Yeah. I didn't
So
see
we
that
got about
either.
3 alerts saying to take shelter.
Apologies, I forgot that we did speak to those individuals. It was much colder out there, much warmer in here, so we're feeling a little sleepy in here, but so is everybody. I can see they're just feeling a certain way out here. But those ladies specifically were telling me they were from Virginia, one from Virginia, one from Nashville. They were going to get a connecting flight out of here. It's one of those flights where they land, stay in the plane, and then go where they need to go next. But those ladies were telling me that you heard right there. They got off the plane, were told to get some food, some drinks, and just hang out for a little bit. That's when they found out about the UPS cargo jet crash and that their flight was canceled. Thankfully, we did see them off. They went to their hotel safely in a hotel shuttle and are expecting to stay here for the night. They've never been to Louisville, but this will be their first night in Louisville, and they hope that they're able to fly out tomorrow as well. Again, there's a lot of individuals here that are very optimistic for these early flight times. Like I said, as early as 7 a.m., seeing some at 7:30, at 9:43 as well, all the way up until noon around 12:10.